Can anyone remind me how YouTube works? I have 1 million subscribers. I've been using this platform for 8 years. I don't understand how it works. So if I can see that you guys are chatting, which means that my stream must be working. If I were to show you what's in my browser window, in the classic YouTube Studio in the classic streaming interface, it shows that there's no stream, there's 0 watching, and I'm offline. In the new interface, in the new live control room, it also shows me as offline. So I don't actually know where to find my stream. I really don't know where this is. I'm trusting Restream Live Chat for the fact that I'm here, but I have no idea how to use this, because when I used to click on my streaming link, it would bring me to a screen, my bookmark, it would bring me to a screen that looks like this. Now it brings me to a screen that looks like this, except my stream doesn't actually work, yet it's clearly working because I see you talking to me in the YouTube Restream chat app over here, which means I am streaming to YouTube at some point. So I don't know where my stream is. Let's see, if I click manage, maybe it'll find it for me. It says I can schedule a stream. That's not it. No upcoming streams. Webcam, maybe this is it. Click here, maybe this is it. Stream. That's to go live immediately, but again, I have a stream in session right now, and I can know there's a stream in session right now because you guys are actually speaking to me in the chat app. So I don't know why YouTube does this, why they choose to change parts of the website that worked, and not only change it, but they make it worse. So for instance, the comment section, the way it used to show on the screen in the classic interface, not only was it easier to use, but it actually loaded much faster than the new one. A lot of the ways that YouTube has changed for the Creator Studio, to me, I genuinely don't understand how to use this. And I don't really want to take time to relearn how to do what I already knew how to do when there's seemingly no new features that have actually been added. This really doesn't make sense. So, I mean, when I go to my channel, let's say I go to my Creator Studio. Let's just find that in my other app. Let's see. Oh, let's see. So dashboard. Okay, what do we got here? Where the fuck do I find this shit? Where do I find this? Like, let's try again. Videos? Maybe it's here. Do I click live? Do I click, like what? It's not this. Oh, live now. Okay, here we go. Finally. Okay, but this is it. But that's not the control window. You understand? Like that's, maybe here? Oh, what's this? Maybe it's this? No, it's not this. Okay, we go here. I'm just trying to find you guys, because I know you're there. I feel like I'm playing Marco fucking Polo in the pool. Live control room is the new way to go live. Fuck you, it doesn't work. You fucking cunts. Live is the new... No, I don't want to learn more, because you're going to send me to a link that doesn't have my dashboard. Okay, in this entire fucking thing, is there a link to my dashboard? Let's see, what do we got here? Marco! Marco! Check out this live control room walkthrough here. I don't want to walk through. Give me the link to where the fuck it is. Oh, fuck you, you fucking blue screen cunt. Get the fuck... Why'd you change my working setup? You fucking piece of shit. Oh my god. Marco! 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 Manage. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay, is this it? Oh, monetization off. Thank you, YouTube. Yeah, you fucking cunts. You automatically put 6 mid-roll ads into every fucking video that I do. Every video. Yet, you're going to automatically turn off monetization for the streams that I had set to monetize. That's fucking smart. That's great. That's just... Maybe it's here? Do I bookmark this? Because I got to edit my bookmark. All right. It's this? Yes! Here you guys are! Polo! Fucking Polo! There we go. Now I can edit shit. All right. I'm going to set this as a bookmark in my browser. Edit my old bookmark. This was a complete fucking waste of 6 minutes of my time. Thank you, YouTube. Oh, check this out. The old URL used to be youtube.com/live_dashboard. Now it's youtube.com studio.youtube.com/video/K7EW6LQY whatever the fuck /live streaming UTM campaign equals upgrade blah 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 blah. Why would you take something that worked, that made sense, and fuck it up so monumentally? There's no reason for this shit. Like, absolutely no reason for this shit. Now I'm not even in the mood to stream right now. I'm just kind of sad. Add description. I don't want to add a description. My streams had a description, you cunts. Give me back my old description. You fucking piece of work. All right. Let's grab a description from an old video and put it into this one. We're going to take a happy little description. We're going to take a happy little description. And then we're going to take that happy little description. And we're going to put it in this video. And then it's going to be a happy little stream. A happy little stream. Where everybody is caring and loving and satisfied and happy and at peace with the world. We're going to have a happy little stream. I mean a live stream, not a piss stream. I'm not R. Kelly. Though I wouldn't mind doing a piss stream onto whoever redid YouTube to be this shitty. I'd like to take that whole set of code and just urinate all over it. You think governments will go with the power they now hold over people from COVID? No. Absolutely not. I knew that when the lockdowns began that they were not going to end in any reasonable time period afterwards. And I knew that this is going to last 2 weeks to slow the spread. No. Yeah. And the income tax is to fund World War I. Nice try. Yeah. I'm sure. Of course it is. You just care about the people. You don't care about getting reelected based on people's emotional responses to things. You're not pandering at all. I'm sure you're not pandering at all. You just want what's best for the people. You love human beings so much. What do you think we can do then? What I think is going to happen in the United States is self-segregation. When I say segregation, I don't mean across racial lines, religious lines, sexual orientation lines. I mean philosophical lines. I believe that there is going to be segregation amongst people who have different belief systems and people who think one way so strongly that they believe people who think another way are evil. There is going to be a dividing line down America where the people who believe this live over here, and the people who believe this live over there. I think that's what's going to be. I think that is most likely what is going to happen in the long term. And I think it's going to... There's definitely going to be a lot of migration going on now. We'll see. Okay. Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be working on a MacBook. Let's start up the stream and get started working on this MacBook. Are you all happy to be working on a MacBook with me? I hope you are. So we're going to figure out what's wrong with this MacBook over here. Just going to put it on the screen. By the way, I don't know which one of you bought this because I didn't even advertise it yet, but I was just adding random junk to my website since people are always talking about having merchandise. So on my site, I have this thing over here. Let's see, repair tools and parts. One of the subcategories is called memes and dreams. And one of the things here is a non-functional battery with my signature and a story. And somebody bought that, and I didn't think it was actually going to start selling because I didn't even think I made that public yet. But I wrote a 2-page story about one of my best friends who I haven't seen for 9 years just yesterday, and I signed it to sell along with the broken battery. Someone actually bought a broken battery to get a story that I wrote. But that will be shipping out on Tuesday. Okay, but back to the more important aspects over here. We are going to be working on a MacBook that doesn't work. So the first question that I asked myself is, what's wrong with this MacBook? Self? So we are going to turn on my power supply. We're going to turn on my multimeter. We're going to turn on some multimeter software and some power supply software, and we're going to get started fixing this board, if it is indeed a board problem. Remember, we don't want to assume that it's a board problem before confirming that it's not a parts problem or a user problem. Because let's face it, we're talking about Apple. Often, it will be a user problem. In the words of my first commercial landlord, it's probably something you guys did. My dear Lewis, you boob, you have to use bad words, or is it habit? It's not really to show that I'm hard, it's just something that I do, and if you don't like it, you can gargle my balls. You seem quite offended by it. I'm not sure why you would give money to someone who seems to offend you. I would not give money to people that I call a boob. I'm not sure. Perhaps I'm not quite in the mood today to be nice over such things. I think a good part of it is dealing with Susan Wojcicki's interface and the way that she runs her company. It leads me to want to curse a lot even when I would usually not want to curse. A big part of it is, I would say, dealing with Susan Wojcicki's software, where she is constantly taking a website and just driving it into the effing ground, regardless of what the users want, regardless of what the content creators want, and at some point, it just gets old, and you curse out your monitor. If you've never cursed out your computer screen before, you're probably being dishonest, or you've probably never used a computer. One or the other. I'm guessing that you're probably just not being honest. Let's be real here. But that's about it. If you don't like the cursing, I don't know what to tell you. You know, this is not Barney. Go gargle my balls. Now, that being said, we are going to plug this in, and we are going to turn it on, and we are going to see what amount of power it's taking, because I'm kind of curious how much power it's taking. And it seems like the fan is spinning, which means this probably already works. However, none of the multimeter software is not actually showing up on the screen, and that does indeed worry me. That does worry me, because you should be showing up on the screen, but you're not showing up on the screen, which makes me wonder what's going on with the Paul Daniels multimeter software. All right, we're going to have to figure that out in a second, as well as figuring out why the power supply software does not want to show up on the screen. Power supply software? Power supply? Oh, wow. The power supply software has magically shrunk. It has lost its transform. That is no good, my friends. That is no good. I don't know how that happened. I'm not quite sure how that happened. But we are going to have to reset the transform on the power supply software before we continue. I am so sorry. I was hoping for this to be an easier, happier stream where everything just worked from the very beginning. But it's not, because of people with the PLNs. Yes, we blame you. I blame you. Okay, so the first thing I have to do is get it so that it shows the amperage that is being taken. We are going to shrink this like so. We are then going to do this, and it goes in the corner like that. And then we're just going to copy and paste our transform, and we're going to put it up there. It's going to be nice and easy, nice and happy, like so. Oh, what do you know? It's right up there now. Ah, now it just magically reappeared. Now we're going to have to figure out why the multimeter doesn't show up on the screen. And we don't have the luxury of Mr. Paul Daniels being here to help us out. So let's restart Paul Daniels' amazing software and see what happens with it. I'm kind of curious. Is it a wrong COM port being used? Is it not plugged in? Maybe. Software license expired? It doesn't look like it's plugged in now, does it? Did you come unplugged? Oh, shut up. Let's see. No, that is plugged in. You are plugged in, COM4. Shut up, multimeter. I will fuck you up if you beep again. Aha! We're getting somewhere. Check RS-232. RS-232 is plugged in. Been watching your stream forever when you ran about property tax. I pay $2,800 a year on a 600K house, 5,800 square feet, and totally modern, updated here in East Washington State. You just gave me a place to look for, so thank you very much. Perhaps I will take a look at East Washington State. Aha! The multimeter software shows back up. All right, we're ready to go, my friends. Yeah, the coder, it does it for me as well, and it drives me nuts. And thank you very much, Psycho Mikey. Psycho Michael. Okay, we're going to do this again. I'm going to plug it in. And as you can see here, now it's back to only taking 12 milliamps, which is really strange because just a moment ago, I had this thing giving me a fan spin. Now, what would cause it to give me a fan spin one moment and not give me a fan spin in the next moment? That's an excellent question. Could it be an issue with the trackpad being corroded? You got some corrosion over here? Nope, no corrosion over there. We plug it back in again, and it works. And it turns on, but does it stay on? Now, let's see what the customer's specific complaint was, since this computer is already turning on, and it's giving me a happy little chime. I'm going to read the customer complaint, and then we go from there. Let's load up the customer's ticket and see what their complaint is. If their complaint is that it has a dead CPU, then this goes in the Paul bin. So for this ticket, their complaint is literally nothing, because the person who works here did not put an issue description, so I have no idea what the fuck is wrong with it. And fortunately, they've already left. If they had not already left, I would have taken them. I would have tied them up. I would have put a gag in their mouth. I would have driven them down to Florida, and I would have put them into a pit of hungry, unfed rabid alligators and told them to never do this again. But they already left. Just took the plunge to start my own phone and laptop screen repair business in my hometown, and I've been... son of a... Yeah, I don't know what happened, Adam. Well, I wish you the best of luck with your business. I hope that you do very well. Okay, let's see if it does charge. So I'm going to plug the battery in and see if the amperage goes up. And it appears that the amperage is not going up. The amperage is still stuck at 400. So it is indeed not charging. So we're going to try something different here. What I'd like to do is I'd like to see what the voltage is on PP Bus G3 Hot. Because remember, when the SMC has issues, we'll get 8.1 volts. And when it's working, we get 8.5. Perhaps that's the case here. Ah, now I see why you're not charging. You're not charging because if you charged, my battery would explode in my face. So what do you guys notice about PP Bus G3 Hot being 17.5 volts? Does anything seem a little off to you there that PP Bus is 17.5 volts? PP Bus G3 Hot is the main voltage rail for the computer. It's also going to be supplied by the battery if it's not supplied by the charger. So when the charger is plugged in, the charger is going to take 17 volts and turn it into 8 volts for PP Bus G3 Hot. If the charger is not plugged in, PP Bus G3 Hot will be taken from the battery. PP Bus G3 Hot, when the charger is plugged in, is also going to go to the battery to allow the battery to charge. I'll show you that on the schematic that I'm going to put on the screen in a moment if Paul Daniels' software works, which today it's actually working very well. Must have said something nice about Paul Daniels and it caught it. So let's get that on the screen right now so that you can see it and perhaps learn something. So we go over to U7100 and you take a look at how this circuit works. This is what's called a buck converter, and I will link to one of my older videos when I do the edited version of this video. I would suggest you watch it because I include lots of pictures that make it really easy to tell what's going on. So this over here is going to be the circuit that is responsible for making the 18 volts into 8 volts. So over here, you have 18 volts coming in from the charger, and it goes through this. This is reverse current protection. These are transistors. Transistors are only going, typically, you see this little diode over here. It's only going to let stuff go one way unless it has power going to the gate or not going to the gate, depending on the type of transistor. Whole idea here, you don't want your battery going through this and then through here and then charging your charger when your charger's not plugged in. I'm not sure if you've ever bought a really, really garbage 18650 battery for a flashlight. I don't know if you ever had this before, but you get like a really shitty cheap charger and you put the battery in, you plug it into the wall, the light turns on, and then when you unplug it from the wall, the light still fucking stays on because the battery is charging the charger and keeping the light on because there's no reverse current protection because it's a cheap piece of crap. A MacBook is a piece of crap in many ways, but it's not that much of a piece of crap. So you have something here called reverse current protection. So it's going to go through this transistor, then it's going to go through here. This is the current sensing section. The current sensing section is going to have a reading on the top and the bottom of this resistor. There's going to be a voltage over here, voltage over there. The difference in voltage between here and here is going to be directly proportional to the amount of amperage the system is using. The system is using more amperage, a bigger difference. System is using less amperage, a smaller difference. That difference is going to be monitored by the ISL 6259 through R7121 and R7122, and it's going to allow it to tell how much amperage the system is using. If it thinks it's using too much, it turns everything off so that the machine does not turn on fire like my e-bike once did when I bought a battery from the wrong AliExpress vendor. This is a transistor. It's actually two. One transistor is going between 18 volts and PP bus, the other between PP bus and ground. This is a buck converter. The way a buck converter is going to work is it's going to take the 18 volts and try to turn it into 8. How do you take 18 volts and turn it into 8 efficiently? That's a great question. What you're going to do is you're going to split it up. So instead of having 18 volts go through all the time, you have 18 volts, turn off 0 volts. Turn on 18 volts, turn off 0 volts. When you mix 18, 0, 18, 0, 18, 0, it averages out to around 8 or 9. However, this is no good. Instead of having a nice kind of like, here, we're just going to push slowly, instead of like pushing comfortably to get something from point A to point B, you just punch it, and then you wait a second, and then punch it, and then you wait a second. The thing being punched is not going to appreciate that. If you're helping move someone who's in a wheelchair and you gently push them, that's fine. However, if you were to punch the back of the wheelchair as hard as you could each time, or smash the wheelchair with your car, you're going to make the wheelchair move forward, but the person in the wheelchair might not appreciate it so much. So what we have over here is a inductor. This is going to resist quick changes, so it's going to be more an average of 8.5, and then capacitors to ground, which is also going to smooth everything out. My iPad Pro battery expanded and leaked lithium, so let's hope I get it for replacement. There are a lot more details, though. Well, I wish you the best of luck getting your replacement, and hopefully it doesn't blow you up. So the coil over here is going to resist quick changes. It's like a slinky. It's not going to be good at dealing with quick changes. So it's going to kind of average everything out a little bit. And then you also have the capacitors to ground, so it's going to store those pulses, which winds up getting you, instead of 18 and 0, 18 and 0, just a nice smooth 8.5. However, if we're getting 18 volts all the time, what that means is that it's not actually switching. So on the schematic over here, you'll see Q7130, which is going to be doing the switching and sending that 18 volts from the charger to PP bus G3 hot over here. This is our PP bus. It's controlled by ISL 6259. It doesn't seem to be. It seems to be stuck in the on position all the time. Why is it stuck in the on position all the time? That's a great question. Now, what the system is smart enough to do, which again, I will give Apple credit where credit is due. This is good design. If this fails, instead of spending 18 volts of the battery, which is then going to wind up exploding, it says, wait a second, 18 volts on PP bus? No way. And this transistor closes. This is a transistor that sits between our PP bus G3 hot that we just created and the battery. This is the last line of defense. If this fails, you are now sending 18 volts to an 8-volt battery. It is not going to appreciate that, nor the testicles of the individual using that computer on their lap. But you don't have to worry about that anymore, because they call it a notebook, not a laptop, so that they can't get sued when it goes on fire and blows your balls off. So I don't really understand why they even bother including Q7155 there, because I'm sure they'd be fine without it. At this point, we're going to take the board out of the machine and see if there's any hints that tell us why this transistor is stuck. Is it a bad transistor? Is U7100 dead? Is there corrosion? Did something blow up? Do we have no hints, and then we just have to figure out which one it is by randomly guessing and replacing things? Well, we're about to find out. Are you excited? Because I'm excited. The first thing I'm going to do is take my Torx T5 screwdriver. And I'm going to find a magnet, which is in the bag. Okay. Person who took this in without notes has redeemed themselves by giving me a magnet so that I don't have to get up. I will not feed you to a set of angry alligators. Maybe I'll just scare you with them. So. You should look. You should link as Discord. I can't link anything right now. I'm in the middle of fixing a MacBook, I'm afraid. I've got some work to do here. So what do you all think the problem's going to be? Can you predict what the problem is going to be? I wonder if anybody here can predict what the problem is. Exo Terminator thinks it's liquid damage. So it says, too clean for a dead bug short. See, the question was, what do you think it is? Not, what do you think it is not? What do you think it is, if you had to take a guess? What's wrong with this MacBook? Is what's wrong with this MacBook the same thing that's wrong with our society? Yeah, we have no fabric that keeps us together anymore. Few commonly shared views and values. Too much tribalism. Real estate prices that are too ridiculously out of control. What do you think it is? If you had a guess. We are going to take a fine look at the ISL 6259 area. The ISL 6259 is the chip on the schematic that I showed you that's going to be responsible for controlling Q7130. That's going to be what allows it to work. I'm also going to take out the solid-state drive in the computer because I don't want the solid-state drive to experience any of the heating that's going to happen as I heat up the board while replacing components that are going to require lots of heat, like transistors that pass some of the main system power through them. We're going to take this machine and put it to the side, and I'm going to take the top of the case of the machine and put it over so that that SSD cannot fall out and get lost, causing the customer to lose their data and me to lose my job. Try to avoid losing the customer's solid-state drive. If you lose the customer's solid-state drive, they'll be very mad at you. It is very easy to do so in these machines. Organization is important. Now, the way that I would find U7100, if I were using the schematic and the board view software designed by Paul Daniels at pldaniels.com, is I would click on the chip itself. But if I didn't know where the chip was, I would right-click on this over here. And when I right-click U7100, it will show me on the board view where U7100 is. Everybody, I want you to say thank you to Paul Daniels. Everybody say thank you to Mr. Paul Daniels for creating the software that makes my life easier and happier. Without Paul Daniels, this would be a much more angry stream. As you can see, we have corrosion. And the corrosion is right in this corner over here. You just turn the light up so you can see that a little better. You see that? That's what we call corrosion. Now, I'm kind of curious what it's on. So here is the way I figure out how to do my job. It's not by going to college. It's not by reading a gigantic 900-page book. It's not because I was born a genius. I see a system that has a problem. And then once I look it over and I figure out what the problem was, I store it in my brain in a database. So the next time I have that problem, I know that this problem is caused by this thing, or I know what the relation is between my problem and the signal that is corroded. So over here, it looks like charger phase is shorted to charger U gate or ground. Let's just view that in the schematic in the board view. We have charger U gate and charger phase shorted. Now, charger U gate, if you take a look on the schematic, is going to be upper gate. Charger, upper gate. This is a transistor. This is two transistors in one. And the transistor is going to have a gate, a source, and a drain. The way the transistor works, if you watch my transistor video, which I will link to here in the edited version of the video, it's going to open when you send voltage to the gate. If you're using an N-channel transistor, when you send voltage to the gate, it will allow power to go through from the source to the drain. What do you think is going to happen when you take voltage and you constantly put it on the gate so it's always there? What's going to happen is instead of this transistor only opening, when the ISL 6259 decides I'm going to send power to the gate, it's going to open all the time because the power from the gate is going to be stuck. This over here, charger phase, is going to be always going to the gate, which means this transistor will always be open, which means it will always send 18 volts through. So it is no longer a switching power supply. It is a permanently on linear power supply, or go boom boom power supply. I'm going to clean off that corrosion and see if it changes our results. And depending on what it looks like, I might even replace the chip because I no longer trust it. There's one way to find out. Can you tell me what the T in MOSFET stands for, Deadeye? That's what I thought you... Now we are going to turn on the smaller iron. We're going to remove the corrosion. And what I want is for all of the corroded crap, as well as the old solder, to get stuck to my iron. I have an 820000165 that won't turn on. While taking meter readings, that board suddenly had fan spin and now works. WTF. Welcome to my world, James. Welcome to my world. You probably have corrosion somewhere that you can't see. Look further. Here, we'll get the bottom of it as well. That is a nice, happily cleaned area. That is all the liquid damage that is necessary to damage a MacBook. Doesn't take much, now does it? Now I'm going to wait for that to cool off momentarily, and as I do, I'm going to sort out my desk a little bit, and perhaps read some of the Twitch comments. Did you get a message from Edson yet? I have not received a message from Edson, and I don't expect to. Anytime a company sends me something to review that they think is a slam dunk, hit out of the park, amazing product, and I wind up bringing it back to reality, it's always been the same pattern. I'm going to wake up to a very awkward email on Tuesday about how I was using it wrong, or I missed something, or you don't understand, this is the feature, blah, blah. That's what always happens, and it's why I hate doing product reviews. I genuinely hate doing product reviews. Okay, so what do we have here? How do you keep your sanity? Sanity? Keep. All right. Next, let's see what we have on our pee-pee bus. All right. When I plug it in, let's see what we have here. I can't give you a percentage of that, Coco. That's a weird question. If that happened to you, would you charge customer? What did you do? You got to figure out what you did. You did something. You got to figure out what you did. Stop asking about charging the customer before you figure out what you did. You're skipping ahead. You're skipping ahead to charging people. Like, don't skip ahead to that. Figure out what you missed. There's liquid somewhere. There's something going on there. All right, as can be seen here, we're still getting 17 volts on PP Bus G3 hot. So removing the corrosion is not good enough because I believe that at this point we have fried the circuit. So what we're going to do is we are going to replace both the ISL 6259 and this transistor over here. We're going to replace both as a pair, because if this is broken and I replace this being broken will kill that. Then I replace this, but I just killed that, so that's going to kill this, and so on and so forth, and it will be this never-ending back and forth. Yeah, I don't like this whole thing where I'm supposed to coddle it because it's made in America, so I should have lower expectations for the device just to appreciate the fact that something's made in America. I mean, I'm not going to coddle it because it's made in America. You know, the thing is, it's expensive, it's low power, it's low tech, it's put together poorly. I'm not going to coddle a piece of machinery simply because it's made in America. You know? Like, that's the bigotry of low expectations. And don't get me wrong, I expect it to be I expect it to perform poorly if it's made in America at this point. Like, whether it's a car, a hot air station, web designer, like contractor. Every time I go for made in America, it doesn't go well for me. But is what it is. Is what it is. So I'm going to take my Quick that I unplugged the other day because I was showing you my Atten. I'm going to put that back on the desk because I ran out of Atten bent nozzles over here, so and I like my Quick bent nozzle that I have. And we are going to remove the transistor as well as the ISL 6259, and we're going to replace both of them as a unit. If you replace one and not the other, expect the customer to repeatedly come back as one kills the other over and over and over again. It's not fun wasting your time, and I would highly suggest that you not waste your time by replacing one instead of the other. Replacing one instead of replacing both. Now, this is going to be really difficult to replace because it's got a really high thermal mass in this area, big transistor, and you got really tiny connectors that are going to melt right off the board right next to it. So I'm going to get as close as I can to this transistor, which is not usually my way of doing the work, because what I value here more than just about anything else is not melting everything in the surrounding area. To be clear, this would never come off in a million years with an Edson. I would never remove that transistor with an Edson. I could stay there. I could preheat the board. I could stay there all year. That thing is going to be stuck there. All right. Now I'm going to add a little bit of flux since that one of those little items beneath it was affected a little bit. I want it to reflow itself back into place where it belongs. Now I'm going to get a new transistor. I'm going to take it off of my donor board that has a dead CPU. Mobile streams for biking and real estate, it's really difficult because the YouTube mobile experience with most the LTE providers in New York is garbage. You won't be able to see anything. Everything will be a pixel. So I can do a speed test on my phone and it'll say I have 10 or 25 megabit per second up, but then I use the YouTube app to stream, and even if it's from a flagship at the time, like when I had the Samsung S7 when that was a flagship, or the LG G8 when that was a flagship, the stream would come out as 3 or 6 pixels. And then I would do a speed test after it, even on open speed test, not just speedtest.net, where they're cooking the results at Verizon probably to make the user think they're getting more than they are, like a lot of ISPs do. And it would show me a good result. Shit. Transistor tried to jump away. Get back here. So mobile live streaming could be fun, but it's just in New York City. I don't know if it's the phone, the app, the operating system, or the ISP. But even when I was using a VPN, it was coming out like shit. So I gave up and I stopped. Okay, so we've got our transistor soldered over there. Now I'm going to replace the ISL6259 on the other side. You just make those solder joints look a little nicer. Some flux and some solder. Yeah. What bothers me is that there's several things that bother me about the Edison. And I think the biggest one is they know what I'm using it for. They know I'm using it on these boards. So you have to know when you're presenting that to me that it's going to work like crap for what I do, and you sent it anyway. And there's just kind of a lack of research that went into that that's indicative of marketing people that don't really follow or understand the industry or the people that they're reaching out to in the industry that they're in. All right, here we go. So I think I see what's going on here. That pad on the board where the corrosion happened is actually kind of destroyed. So I'm going to have to scrape away at that a little bit. Let's see if you can see. So that is the pad that is destroyed there is going to be the second one on the top right, which is for charger phase. And we're going to do a little bit of scraping and see if we can get something back there. So just nothing crazy, just some minor scraping and rehabilitation. Remember, we don't ever want to put solder on top of corrosion. That's not what we do here. What we do is you scrape and get rid of the corrosion. You want that corrosion to be scraped off somewhere else on the board, get sucked up into your iron or your flux or whatever, and then you can solder. You can put solder on. So I don't want to solder on top of corrosion. I really want to remove every little piece of corrosion over there, and that's what we did. QZ defines, it's hard to really say that because so the first time I got contacted by them, it was not a letter, it was a phone call. Yeah, a phone call is not a letter. Don't think I've got a letter. Just the phone call. Mildly unhappy phone call. Okay, so we're going to take the ISL 6259 from my donor and put it there. The center pad has too much solder on it because that is my hallmark, my warranty sticker right there. I'm going to preheat this board a little bit so it's going to be accepting when I put the chip down. Okay. Now we're just gonna get rid of the solder blobs. Alright. On that side, and make sure every joint is soldered the way it should be. I want those joints looking uniform and properly on the board. And that's what we got. All around, happy joints on a happy board. Ah. Probably use a little bit more HDR in this section, but oh well. Let's see what more HDR looks like. Too much HDR is weird. Alright, we're going to cool the board off for a moment. And while the board is cooling off, I'll read some of your chat. This has lost its suction capability. There we go. These hoses that come with this HAKKO fume extractor are really awful. They come off really easily. It probably was, Derek. It really probably was. American made used to mean American pride. Somewhere along the way, the pride was lost to laziness. Maybe, you know what's interesting, BC, is I remember I was listening to this conference with Eric Schmidt, I think, and it was from 2008 or 2009. I forget the year, and I don't remember where I could find it. Maybe one of you can. But it was with Eric Schmidt, and he was saying that there's this common misconception that things are outsourced to other countries solely because they're cheap, and that's it. It's just price. But in reality, when you look at things like the work ethic of the people who show up, how much, how easy it is to get them to do what you ask them to do, the pride that they take in the job being done properly, the productivity of the work, the how much work they were able to get done. Mostly the quality output is actually better in other places, and there are places that are actually more expensive than America to do certain things, and they'd still rather get it done there because they get a better product. I wouldn't be surprised at it. All right, so we got a fan spin over here. Now we've replaced several things in the PP Bus G3 hot circuit. So when I measure PP Bus, you'll see that I get 8.6 volts, which is what I'm expecting. See? 8.6. That's what I want. That's going to be able to charge a battery. Now, I'm going to plug the battery in, and we're going to see if the amperage draw goes up, if it's able to charge the battery. If the amperage draw starts to go up after I plug the battery in, then that means that we have fixed this board, and it is working, and can be given back to a happy customer. I'm just going to step away from my desk in case it decides to send 17 or 18 volts to that battery, because I'm afraid. All right, this board usually takes 550 to 600 milliamps by itself. The fact that it's going over an amp means it is indeed charging the battery, which means we have fixed our customer's problem, and we do have a working board. I'm hoping at this point that you learned something on how buck converters work, how these failures occur, and how you can figure out how to associate specific problems with specific areas that you should check in the future so that you understand what's going on. And don't believe that board repair can only be done by people that have a degree in electronics engineering, can only be done by people that are born geniuses or people that you think are way smarter or more successful than you. If someone like me, as stupid as me, can do this, then so can you. But make sure that you do it right. Make sure you really seek to understand what you're doing, and make sure that you care about quality output and not just trying to get shit done as quickly as possible while you're learning so that you can make as much money as possible before you know what you're doing. Really sit there, really try to absorb what you're learning. Make use of the resources that have been put up for free for people like myself and Jessa before you get into this, and start experimenting on stuff that belongs to you rather than what belongs to other people. You'll find that this is a really fun hobby after a while, and when you can actually start making money, then it gets really interesting. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now. And cut! And cut! Fucking piece of shit. HAKKO thing. Why don't you stay connected? The join button? I never even looked into the join button thing, to be honest with you. Really? My keyboard's not plugged in? Is that what you're telling me? I see it. You're plugged in, you piece of fucking dog shit. Okay. There we go. Chris the Pack Rat, it's very simple. What I do, and this is something that I think... So the question here is, how do you avoid... Oh, OBS, why don't you work? Yeah, so the question that Chris the Pack Rat had is, what's your secret to not wanting to go on a murderous rampage with what's going on in the world? Well, what I do when I think the world is completely and utterly falling apart is, rather than get myself depressed or anxious or incredibly aggravated, if it's something that I believe I can change, or something I believe I should change, I try in some way, shape, or form. If I can't, or I feel it's not worth changing, I will sit back. But for the most part, I focus on just continuing to move forward. What I realize is that regardless of whether or not New York continues to exist, regardless of whether or not the world explodes, regardless of what happens with any of these crazy issues in our time, that 6 months from now, I'm still going to need to be able to feed myself, feed the people that work with me, feed the, have a business, have something. So I just keep pushing the ball forward. So, little things like, jackass that put together my site didn't put it together so that it works in Firefox. Oh, you migrated an existing Magento 1 theme instead of actually using a 2 theme. Okay, let me find someone to do that. Like every day I just plod along a little bit to fix the small things in my life that are not working. Today I cleaned up a little bit more stuff in my office. I made some space next to Orhan's desk for data recovery. I tried to fix the front desk up a little. I tried to, Paul's going to be printing out a thing that goes over the ultrasonic cleaner that has a guide on how to use it, because some of the people who are new don't know how to use it perfectly. Each day I just focus on making my corner of the world suck a little less. Because if I become overwhelmed with rage or aggravation, or let's say that there's some sort of political crusade and I go on that political crusade, on the other side of that crusade, there's still my life that I need to take care of. And I just remember that I have to focus on my life, I have to focus on taking care of my life, and I have to focus on taking care of the people in my life. And that I can't get so overwhelmed with what's going on in the world that I forget the fact that there will be a tomorrow, there will be a next month, there will be a next year. And that's that, just every day make stuff suck a little bit less. How's Bafang battery post-mortem hunt? Ha. I'm waiting to get a quote on my door, which that battery set on fire from my landlord, which I plan on paying. But I'm going to send it to the battery company. If the battery, and I showed the battery company the way this battery was set up. You sent me 2 batteries that have 80 amps continuous output. They were charged the same amount and put in parallel through a bridge rectifier. I used it with a peak current of 46 amps. This ain't on me. Ain't on me. That has the capability to do 160 amps. I put 46 through it at peak. Not on me. My motor still works. I tested that motor. I dug the little burned wires out and I attached it to my controller. The fucking thing still spins. My motor's fine. I am going to send them the bill. I'm going to send them what the bike cost, what the door cost. They have 2 choices at that point. Behind door number 1, they can take accountability and responsibility for the fact that they put together a battery that is so overrated over what it's actually fit to handle, and compensate me. Behind door number 2, I will show the world what their battery does when used to 1/4 of its rated capacity, and let the market sort things out. This is a company that just so happens to not only be a Chinese company, they also actually happen to have a large presence in America. Because they're actually incorporated in America as well, because they have enough business to warrant having a presence in America. And I've done some Googling, and while there are a lot of people who recommend them, there are also people who have been showing that their work has been getting slowly shoddier over the years, and I wish I had found that stuff before I bought it, but there's several posts from 2018. And I would like to conclude that set of posts that I saw with what that shoddiness leads to. Lawsuits are, that's really just like one way or the other. Okay, I'm going to leave a note in that ticket. That's not real, NZK. That's a joke. So I took my architect to small claims court, and they sent me something in April saying, we moved it back. We'll let you know in a month or 2 when we're open again. And I don't expect court to work anytime soon. There's no justice from the legal system when it comes to these types of petty disputes. The way that what's interesting is that while the video was up on Erica's channel, which has 2,000 subscribers, they were very, very, very scared because they said people are viewing it. This is not good. She has 2,000 subscribers. Okay, I see. Thanks for letting me know that a video of your battery being on fire on a channel with 2,000 subscribers is something that you find really, really valuable to you. So that, good to know. Thank you. I'll take that. Those people were so fucking stupid. I mean, they said that you can't put batteries in parallel with a bridge rectifier because it's very dangerous. Like, you can't, that's the stupidest fucking, I didn't know how to respond to it. I just said, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. I mean, just by saying that, you've disqualified yourself completely from ever being able to touch a battery. You should not be allowed to make batteries if you're so stupid that you think that that's actually true. Okay, so we'll see. Let me just label my last video so that I know what to look for while I'm editing. One moment, please. Thank you very much. I hope you have a lovely day. The amp rating for the bridge rectifier was 100 amps, and the voltage rating for it was 1000 volts. So 1000 volts, 100 amps. I was using it at 46 amps and 84 volts, and it was heat sinked. Needless to say, that it was... I tried to run things conservatively. Okay. Hello, Cinevision. Mineral oil submersion. Erica says, lol, lol. Lol to you as well, woman. Sure, but if you email it to me, it's just not a priority of me right now. Because you gotta, if you get the wrong address from my website as it is right now, it means that you dug for it, which would mean that you ignored all the places where it's correct for the one place it's not. I don't feel like finding it to edit it right now because I want to fix something. I'm bored. For you to find the wrong address, you have to probably have like Googled it on my site to find it. And don't tell Erica, because if you tell Erica, she'll just tell me to fix it when I'm like sitting down and I'm sitting in my recliner about to finish my day and listen to some music and watch something, and she'll go, I want you to edit the PHP on your website to fix it. And I don't want to do that right now. Okay. Erica won't fix it. She'll just she'll tell me to fix it when I'm relaxing. You know it's true. You know it's true. It's probably on the store site, because on the regular website, it's easy to edit things because it's WordPress. And the Magento site, you're like fucking editing random PHP files and not know where they are, and it's bleh. Okay, so what do we have here? What do we have here? I like bike videos when you go to your store. Can someone do me a large favor and take Jason Lopez and get him the fuck out of my channel? I don't feel like logging onto the Studio app and doing it myself. Tarman, how's it going, Tarman? If you could do me a favor and just make him get the fuck out of here. Thank you. I like your bike video. Unfortunately, the camera that I use for those happened to go on fire along with the video recorder and the microphone. I miss my little Zoom H1N. I also miss my DPA 4066. Jason Lopez. This is not something that you would say in person. That's why you say it in a chat. My address is 141 West 27th Street. If you would like to say something like that to my face, rather than be a little bitch in a comment, you're welcome. But you never will. I know you won't. Now get the fuck out of here. Now, the problem here, let me just start a new video for this machine. That's my little DPA 4066. Let me find my... Did you just dox yourself? Stop being a child. Doxing is something that children worry about because they're afraid that people are going to show their parents what they do on the internet. It's not something that adults worry about. There's something called the white pages. And if you look through the white pages, you can actually find where people are located. My address is on my website. Jesus Christ, you people. What is your opinion of Amazon's business practice in the outsourcing most if not all products from China, most of them being unbranded? You have to be specific about their business practices because there's many things about Amazon I like and there's quite a bit that I hate. I don't like the way that they treat sellers. I think that they treat sellers as disposable scum so that customers can scam the sellers as much as they want. I have first-hand experience with that as a seller on Amazon in 2011 and 2012. Lewis makes me laugh when people think privacy still exists. Indeed. Okay, so what was I doing? What the fuck was I doing? Okay, yes, I'm looking at this. Liquid damage, no power. All right, so what we have here is a liquid damage, no power. Someone cleaned up the corrosion, but now it won't turn on again. That's excellent, which means that I won't be able to find particularly where the corrosion was, so I won't know where to start. Yay! Thank you, customer. All right, so let's take a look through this board and see if we can figure out what's wrong with it. I see corrosion in the backlight section. I'm kind of curious now. Is this no power or no backlight? Let me show you the corrosion in the backlight section and you tell me what you think. Because what I see is corrosion in the backlight section, not the power section. And I can tell you the exact via that is the one that's causing all of our problems. We just fix this terrible white balance and Focus, and there we are. Our problem is going to be caused by this via right here. This is going to be for current sensing. The LED driver is going to want to know how much current the backlight is using. If it's using too much, it's going to say turn me off so that it doesn't blow up the entire circuit like it did with older machines. This goes to the other side of the board, and it looks like it has been compromised. I'm going to try plugging the machine in a moment, and we're going to see that this machine actually does indeed turn on. It simply has no backlight. However, since the screen on these machines is a very, 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 very difficult to see screen, unlike some of the older models, pre-Retina, when there's no backlight, it's very difficult to tell. Also, you used to have over here, this used to be something that you could shine a light through. It's transparent. Now it is no longer. So even if you shine a light through here, you won't actually be able to tell if there's anything on the screen or not, because it's not going to make it through to the stream. It's not going to make it through to the screen. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to plug it in, and we're going to see how much power it uses on this USB-C amp meter, which you can find at store.rossmangroup.com. As can be seen here, it is stuck at 5 volts and 22 milliamps, not going up to the next level of 20 volts. There is a USB-C mux chip on the board, which is then going to speak to the charger and tell it I want 19 volts, not 5 volts. I was wrong there. Apparently, it is able to make its way up to 19 volts. However, it is stuck at 0 amps, meaning it doesn't turn on. This means we have two problems. The first problem is that it doesn't turn on. The second problem is that it's not going to have a backlight because that area is completely destroyed. Let's take the board out of the case and see if we can figure out why it's not turning on and has no backlight. While I do that, let me publish another video on my main YouTube channel of why New York real estate is ridiculous, because apparently that's what people actually want out of my channel, not thought-provoking board repair content. Yep, sirree, I have indeed given up on this whole trying to shove stuff down people's throats that they don't actually want to watch. I will post what people want to watch. I think people want to see New York City burn far more than they want to watch me fix boards. So give me one moment here. I will post this, and we will move on. I'm going to click the video. I'm going to change the video settings. We're going to add some cards to the video. No, random dumbass. What I would need to do is make a separate channel for board repair. Ain't nobody watch that shit. Alright. Apply. Remove all existing cards. Blah, blah, blah. I didn't turn off ads. I just set up sync to library. I'm thinking that what makes sense is to keep the ads on and actually make them more annoying to incentivize people to use other platforms like library that actually care about the content creators and the users of the platform. So having content on a platform like library where there's no ads makes a lot more sense to me than trying to make YouTube more usable. I'd rather milk YouTube for all it's worth and have the long-term plan be to get people to watch my stuff on a platform that people don't hate. Because if YouTube is made better, and then people are not really going to leave the monopoly of YouTube. Whereas if YouTube sucks, then people are going to have an incentive to try the alternatives which they should be using to begin with. That's just my opinion. I actually pay for YouTube Premium as well, believe it or not. I've been paying for it for a few years. It's just I use YouTube enough that it's just worth it to me. The ability to download stuff onto the phone quickly without needing to use a downloader and then copy the shit onto my phone afterwards was quite convenient. Okay, so I'm going to remove the board from this case. I have just publicized another video on ridiculous Manhattan real estate. I'm going to take the magnet over here. Derek just said that he got an instant notification. Do you know when there's no instant notifications? When I fix something. You know when there is an instant notification? When I post some random stupid crap about a place for rent. Again, one of the things that I learned in my mid-20s was to stop arguing with the fact that the way the world is a certain way and start working with it. Lobbyists lie. It pisses me off that they lie. They shouldn't be allowed to lie. They do. Deal with it. Record them. Live stream them. Make sure every fucking person in America knows what they say by name and the company they work for. Apple treats their customers like shit. They make things that are not fixable. Why do they treat their customers so bad? It's not right. Take their customers from them and make money while doing it. You learn a lesson as you get older, and for me, the lesson is accept the world as it is and deal with it as it is. You can't change the world until you learn to accept it as it is and then work within it. That's what I try to do. Okay, you want to tell people microwaves explode? Cool. Let's let 1 million people see that. I remember in Washington having somebody go up to one of the people that was testifying with me, because, you know, of course they can't talk to me directly. How dare they actually try to engage the people that they're lying about in open communication. He said, I can't believe that guy is posting this stuff. He's and it's like, oh, you know, that stuff's not nice. It's not right. And it's like, okay, but it's your words. I mean, sorry if you're unhappy that what you say is public. You know, tough shit. Deal with it. I engage the world as it is. Okay. American businesses treat customers nice. Let us love, whatever. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do here is clean off these disgusting charge ports, because they are quite disgusting, and that's going to cause us problems. Erica made the thumbnail for that video. Keep up the good work. Thanks for supporting Right to Repair. Why, thank you. Here, probably not. Okay, let's see if this thing turns on now. Also, we have some other areas that are corroded that were not backlight related that I should be addressing first before I do anything else. Let's take a look at those areas. This area was cleaned, but I still think should use some flux and a reflow. Oh no, you didn't, guy. You didn't. You left corrosion next to the CPU V-core MOSFETs. Really? What type of cleaning job is this? Man, I bet this person is the raunchiest asshole. They probably clean their ass with dry toilet paper and think it's clean. Soap, water, wipe, rinse, repeat. Don't use dry toilet paper to clean your asshole. And don't consider this a clean motherboard, especially when the CPU V-core circuit looks like this. My God. Oh, jeez. This is green shit everywhere. There was no effort put into this cleaning job. No effort at all. Oh man, CPU V-core area got freaking swamped. Yeah, this is gonna be done for, I believe. I thought this was gonna be some sort of basic, simple, no backlight job. And that was wishful thinking. I will call that wishful thinking. This is not a simple no backlight job. This is gonna be a CPU that went kablooey. I will give minor reflow to these areas, but I don't expect it to come back. I might as well unplug the screen cable as I do such reflow, so I don't burn it. But yeah, low chance. Low chance here. Did this have a chance? Absolutely, it definitely had a chance. That chance was destroyed by the decision to continue using it with garbage all over the board. Now we've got a total mess. A pile of dead CPU that got 12 volts to it. No one likes CPUs that have 12 volts. Ah, fucking bullshit. Okay. Too general a question, less to the matter. That is not a 2mm. I believe that's a 6 or an 8. I think it's an 8mm nozzle. A 2mm would just be tossing the resistors all off the board. There's not really much use that I have for something that's that small. That's why I rarely use my penis. Made someone. Jason, just forget about it. Move on and enjoy life. Just think about happy things. Like Apple losing a lawsuit to Epic or something. Think about happiness. You just called Apple losing a loss. It's an epic joke. Oh man, Sergio, that hits. That hits me hard. That hits me hard. That hits me. Okay. Is there anything there that I can solder to? Show me a nub. You have a nub? Do we have a nub in here? Go away. Ah, fine. A leak in the ceiling? A leak. Okay, where do we leave off? Oh yeah, we were looking for a nub. Well, the first thing I want to do is see if this thing even turns on. Like, I'm not gonna do the mistake that I've made in the past, or make that mistake where I go crazy chasing liquid damage on a board that doesn't actually turn on. I mean, go crazy chasing backlight. So we've done a couple of things here. Let's see. I have a strong feeling, good reason to believe that strong feeling, that this has a dead CPU and is a complete waste of time as a result of it coming here way too late. So we have 19 volts, 12 milliamps, and a lot of the main corrosion was run the MOSFETs near the CPU. So this, yeah, 12 volts to the CPU. It's 12 volts to the CPU. You can see a lot of other parts of the machine. Like, this is the thing. If you have a computer, like, why would you plug this in? You know what I'm saying? Like, look, why would you plug this in? Like, why? Meh. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, this was fixable. That's the sad part here. Is this whole machine was fixable. But I got it too late. I got it after the CPU got a few whacks with 12 volts. PCH2. Yeah, this right over here, that being corroded. That being corroded. This definitely. That being corroded. 1 second, let me just turn the exposure up a little. Yeah. This is going to be going into a Paul pile, so there's not really much that I could do here. I suppose I could replace the CPU, but if I replace the CPU, that is going to cost more than this actual board is worth at that point. So we are going to call this one dead. And because sometimes you get these machines with looking that way, and you can save them because the CPU didn't really get a full 12 volts yet. Sometimes it's been getting little sputters of 12 volts over the months, and at that point you're just kind of not much you can do. Also, you don't want to do board repairs where you're putting lots of money into the parts. Because let's say something else goes wrong with the board, right? Let's say you buy a CPU for $200. You spend an hour of your time putting it on and the board dies again. You can't figure it out. Like, you're not really going to be reusing that CPU on another machine, especially with how easily these ones bend. You know, if you wind up refunding someone that you put $3 or $10 worth of chips on, but you spend an hour at a time, that's a different set of hurt than if you put a CPU on it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. Especially on open-ended liquid damage boards. I'm going to leave a note for that one. Go for it, coder. I would say go for it. Chris has been trying to do the layers of the T2 chip by hand, but he's fucking crazy. Yeah, I remember Chris trying to do the layers of the T2 chip, but he is a madman. I wish I could get Chris to show up in more videos, but he's shy because his English is kind of rebald. But all right, so that's about it for today. It was good having you all here in the stream. It was good getting to spend a little bit of time with you all. It's good fixing a board together, going through the board fixed together, experiencing the board charging together. You know, it's kind of fun. We should do this more often. We'll see you all in the next video. Bye now.